Assalamu alaikum, it's me Inappropriate and welcome back to another review, recap, kakpraat of Beaulah Queens van die Kaap, episode 3. So as you can see, I'm not in drag once again. I am still, in fact, within. It's just a little bit congested. I don't know what's going on, but I do feel better physically, but like over here, it's a hell zone, you know what I mean? I do have to be in drag tomorrow, so I don't want to aggravate anything further than what I already have. And yes, I'm shooting this the day of its release. Can you believe it? Like, that's how down and out I've been. But here I am, providing content for you. So how this usually works is every single Wednesday, the day before new release of Beaulah Queens van die Kaap, I will go ahead and review and recap the episode before and recreate a makeup look or redo a makeup look from the episode. But obviously that's not going to happen today. Let's just move on. We know how this works. You've been here before. Let's keep it pushing. This week I'm going to do things a little bit differently because I feel like this episode was very content based and not necessarily building on our character storylines and arcs. So I will be breaking down the episode chronologically, scene by scene, and thus be doing a review and recap as well as the analysis at the same time. Does that make sense? Hopefully this also means that the recaps are a little bit shorter because I don't really like the fact that it's as long as the episode. I think that's unnecessary. So let me know if you guys like this format and we can continue doing it throughout the rest of the week. One disclaimer before I do start. I feel the need to be honest with you as the audience that I've got here on YouTube with the series. This was a really difficult episode for me to review. I really struggled for the past 3-4 days to kind of put pen to paper as to how to go about this. Because this is a reality TV show that I'm part of and a lot of my... What the fuck is this? Listen, just ignore this dirty spot, okay? Whatever. But yes, when I was writing the script for this review, I really had to analyze my... Okay, I need to wipe this off because it's gonna bother me. And you girls in the clubs and shit start fucking like using setting sprays and powders. Look how I look now. Anyway, in writing this, I had to really check my tone a lot because even though this is a reality TV show, I am part of it and this is my life. There are real life events and real life situations and tensions that are also playing a part in how I view the series and also how I review the episode. I do not want this to be a platform in which I air grievances or personal feelings towards these queens. My job here is to actually review and recap the episodes for you and those of you who do not maybe have access to the episodes. In essence, I really want to celebrate the beauty of the show. And as the days and episodes go by, it is becoming more and more difficult for me to remain neutral. So if I do have areas of tone in which seems a little bit pointed, I do apologize. That's not my intent. I don't like in some ways with what the things that other characters or cast members are saying. So I don't want to sit here and just blurt out like responses to those things. So just, I am mindful of that. So I do apologize if my tone changes in any shape or form. I will say this, I have absolutely no reason to lie. I have absolutely no reason to paint anyone in a negative light. Everything I say about the show is based on the episode and what has been recorded and also shown. I'm an extremely open and honest person. I don't have any reason to fake for anyone. So the views expressed in this recap, although it is all mine, it is purely based on what I watch and see on the show. So let's move on from that, okay? So without further delays, let's get right into this episode. As you know, I'll be using she, her pronouns just because that's how we refer to one another. And yeah, let's get into episode 3. How do we solve a problem like Madison? Stupid name. So we are back where we left off with Kat and Maxine at the bar at Beefcakes, where Kat called Maxine aside to have a little bit of a conflab regarding a situation she heard Maxine said about her. So this situation, I can't really explain specifically what happened because it does involve production of the show. But in essence, I received a phone call from Maxine, and Maxine said to me that she feels Kat is lying about something specific. And that was basically what I relayed over to Kat. Kat didn't necessarily appreciate this because Kat doesn't necessarily have that kind of relationship with Maxine. So she felt the need to address the situation with Maxine because she does not appreciate being called a liar. Maxine's defense on the other hand was that she did not directly call Kat a liar, but instead pointed out BB or Kat to be lying about something. And technically she still called Kat a liar, you know what I mean? Maxine insists that people are misinterpreting her, but feels that Kat is also a little bit sensitive and wishes Kat would stop listening to how other people paint her out to be. Kat says that after return from Neisner, she really felt that the group had a very good bond with one another because we really had a fucking amazing time in Neisner. Once we got back, Kat says she felt that there was a little bit of rift between some members of the group, and this was very weird to her considering how much fun we had that weekend. Kat then also says me and her brasa. How are you, bro? And honestly, I geeked out at that because that meant a lot to me. In short, the entire situation is more so Kat saying, keep my name out of your mouth and don't call me a liar. Maxine apologizes and says that next time she will address situations like that with Kat directly, and Kat should feel that she can approach her as well, especially if it's other people talking shit about the two of them, that they should address it with one another. Kat walks away feeling a little bit hesitant, but she does says that next time she probably won't be as passive, and agrees that there's not 100% resolution on the situation, but yeah, we will see how Maxine really feels about the situation in the next scene. So scene 2, we move over to Maxine's place and Jada is already there with her. BB then comes over to fit some wigs from a Sovereign Western Cape, and we see the girls discuss, you know, a little bit of banter about the pageant, and we have some cool exchanges between BB and Jada, which is basically how we all behave. We just started roasting each other. BB wants an updo, but Jada says her face is too big. Like, this scene is gold. Like, it's just proper queens roasting each other. So go check it out. The conversation of what happened at Beefcakes comes up, and Maxine explains to the girls exactly how things went down for her. Maxine says that if she ever says something, she will not be afraid to own up to it, and feels the situation is a he said, she said one. Says that Kaap kept telling her that she was lying and she called her a liar, and she says, but I already apologized, so why are you still going on? And we see a very different tone from Maxine in this scene based on what we just saw the previous scene with the engagement with Kat. Maxine feels like she and Kat are not 100% fine and calls it false fine, which basically means that okay, we're just gonna move on from this, you know? But everyone in the group feels that Kat may have been overreacting, because we all know how Kat is a little bit sensitive, but I also would be someone who I don't necessarily have a good relationship with is out here calling me a liar. Maxine does say that she feels that Kat feels maybe she was coming for her, and that was not the case at all. She was just simply giving her opinion on something that happened. And yeah, the girls are false fine for now. So everyone then concludes. The scene wasn't that long, and the girls discuss a little bit about going to Ina's show. Shout out to BB for calling me a slutty gothic. I kind of fucks with that. Not lying. Not lying. So our next scene, we switch over to Imogen, who is at home cleaning, and she wants to have a call with Maxine. Also rambles a little bit about how difficult Maxine is to get a hold of, and that's 100% true, because the same thing with me. Girl, don't message me on WhatsApp. I will ignore you. But next we see Imogen explain to Maxine that she would really like to meet up with Madison so that she can kind of get her story and see how she really feels about people not liking her and her not liking people. She kind of wants to approach her as Auntie Imogen and say, listen, come and talk to me, you know? Let's have a discussion about why you feel this way. Imogen also uses this moment to suggest to Maxine that perhaps this is a nice moment for them to educate Madison on the queens that have come before us here in Cape Town and educate her a little bit about queer history. Imogen suggests that they go to the District 6 Museum to show Madison the KEWPIE. It's not KEWPIE, guys. It's not KEWPIE. It's KEWPIE. 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 Daughter of District 6. Instead of making fun of Imogen for saying KEWPIE, we're going to use this as a teachable moment, you know? I'm just going to be reading a small little part of the KEWPIE Daughter of District 6 publication by Gala and the museum, the District 6 Museum that is, and just so you guys can have a bit idea as to who KEWPIE was as a queer figure and why it's so relevant that this is being brought up in this episode specifically. So the exhibition KEWPIE Daughter of District 6 explores the life of KEWPIE, a celebrated queer figure in hairdressing in Cape Town's District 6. KEWPIE was a part of a queer community that was highly visible and integrated into the broader community, playing an important role in the fabric and culture of District 6. Members of this queer community sometimes identified as gay men and sometimes identified as women. From what we know, KEWPIE's gender identity was fluid and she did not strictly identify as either male or female. KEWPIE and her friends generally used feminine pronouns and would refer to each other as sisters and girls. And today, some of these people might identify as transgender, although this term was not used at the time. Very different time. It was sometimes known as morphees, which can be an offensive term, but in District 6 its use was not necessarily derogatory. However, many people objected to being called morphe, preferring queer. KEWPIE herself recalled that we weren't called as gays, we were called as morphees then, but it was beautifully said and not abruptly. So in telling KEWPIE's story, the exhibition features photographs from KEWPIE's treasured personal photographic collection built up over several decades. The KEWPIE photographic collection is a valuable resource documenting a thriving and celebrated queer culture within a community that has since been scattered. In keeping with the wider work of the District 6 Museum, KEWPIE's photographs show the value of personal archives to tell potentially lost stories. The collection reinforces historical understandings of District 6 as a close-knit community where difference was embraced, while highlighting a lesser-known aspect of District 6 history. I'm telling you, amazing. My very first gig I ever got as a drag queen outside of a club was to actually open and close the exhibition at the District 6 Museum, and these are some of the photos from that time. It was a very special thing for me to be involved with. Like, I'm also now one of the queens that are selected as the KEWPIE Legacy Project Queens, alongside Manila Volunteers and also KEWPIE. And I've had the privilege of being photographed by Jacques de Villiers, who is also one of the photographers whose work is on show and has photographed KEWPIE herself. Like, this was like some of the pictures that were taken for KEWPIE Legacy, and my frames broke, but like, hey, my pictures are still here. Like, look at that. Like, Jacques took this himself of me. So I have a very soft spot for the KEWPIE Legacy project, and I truly feel like everyone should know the history of KEWPIE. So for that reason, I've linked below A Normal Daughter, which is a documentary about KEWPIE and her life. So go ahead and go watch that. I've also listed a whole bunch of information regarding KEWPIE's exhibition itself, as well as some information regarding the KEWPIE Legacy project. So please check that out in the description below and educate yourself on this beautiful story. And yeah, let's move on with the review. So we move on with the scene, and Jada K asks, why is it that we feel so bad for Madison? And we have this moment where Maxine explains that it's not necessarily we feel bad for her, but instead she feels that Madison is under... To be honest, I don't know what the fuck Maxine is saying here. I'm under the impression that Maxine and Imogen do not want to be considered the older generation, and newsflash, we are. Drag in Cape Town can be divided into eras. We have our early years with, KEWPIE and such things from the 60s through the 80s. Then we also have our era of the 80s through the 90s and early 2000s. We queens are like heavily based in pageantry, so we have our queens like Samantha Fox and Sandra D, Kafunta, all of these eras of queens before us. And then I feel like we have our 2000s to mid 2010s era, which birthed and spawned majority of the cast members of Beaulah Queens van die Kaap. With the exception of BB and Madison, most of us come from the 2000s / mid 2010s era. I personally consider myself to be like on the cusp of that switch, because I kind of started early enough to be considered an old hoe, but also new enough to be considered, like, I'm still very much learning about what drag is. Like, I only started performing in 2018, and I have dabbled with drag since 2015. So for those 3 years, I've learned a few things. I involved myself. I went to the pageants. I did this. So you can consider me an older generation queen, actually, and I'm not opposed to that. I don't have any offense to that. It's true. But that's kind of like my opinion. Like technically, the entire cast, with the exception of BB and Madison, would be considered the older generation of drag. And we are kind of like what people like Madison and BB are looking up to at this point, but I don't feel like Maxine kind of grasps that concept really well. I feel like she is still under the impression that we are just as young as you. Like, that's just not true. Like, we have more experience based on the years we've been partaking in this art form. And to be honest, Madison is looking up to people like us, and I think that's where the point of tension is coming from a lot of the times in the show. That's just my opinion. Let's move on to the next scene. So now we move on to a scene that takes place in Barry's car with Manila and Kat, as well as Barry. They're discussing Miss Sovereign, Western Cape's pageant, and the upcoming Meet the Judges, which is basically the preliminary judging for the pageant. The pre-judging includes interview assessments in which you have one-on-ones with the judges, and they score you based on various things like how you are dressed, how you speak, how you answer questions, all of those types of things. And you are also judged on your themed way presentation way before the pageant. So this usually happens a week before the pageant, and Basically, what the scene is setting out to describe is that the sovereign pageant is not just a showcase pageant. It's not based on what you do the night of the pageant, even though that obviously does play in. But there is work that gets judged and has a big weighting to the overall scoring before the pageant itself. So that's basically what not Manila as much, but that's basically what Kat and Barry are trying to prepare for. So Manila inquires about the judges, and I know that they are very secretive about who the judges are, as Cape Town is a very small city. We know sometimes the people that we're judging. I mean, I judged the year before, 2022, but Kat says that they don't necessarily want the previous queens to be involved as much, but they still will be there to, lend a helping hand, zip up here, give a wig here. So that's exactly what the kind of energy of the pageant is. It's not just a showcase pageant. It truly is a lovely pageant to do. Manila also touches on the situation with Maxine and Kat explains that they kind of resolved situations, but she doesn't want to hear her name come from Maxine's mouth again. And she says that at this point in her life, she just wants peace, and she just wants to, take care of that part of her life more so than anything before. I know it feels like I'm speeding through this, but we've got a lot of shit to get through still, okay? Next up, we meet with Ina and Madison at 0 to 1 so that they can figure out the space for the upcoming ball. Ina says that she has a soft spot for Madison and at this point feels as if she is Madison's guardian. It's really weird to talk in third person. I don't know how you narcissists do this. But anyway, I think, my goal with this was just to make sure that Madison feels included, and yeah, I kind of felt like a protector at that point because I was the only one really engaging with her. And Madison throws some sickening shade also, especially about BB. She says that we should probably put BB in the smaller dressing room so that her wigs don't go missing again. Madison is reality TV gold, period. She really knows how to play this whole game, eh? Ina asks Madison how she's feeling about walking, and she says she's feeling good. And I personally, I wanted to do this myself. I challenged Madison to not do Beyonce. Because at this point, that was all Madison was known for. I really wanted Madison to show a different side of it, to show that she doesn't just have to play this one trick the whole time. Madison suggests that she has an idea, which is Diana Ross. And I immediately say, girl, that's Kat's baby. But we'll see what the girls choose for their categories next week, and Anyway, Madison and myself have a conversation about who we think will do good and who will fumble the ball, and Madison just goes the fuck off, just being reality TV gold once again, and says that she really hopes BB flounders and bombs in the snatch game. Madison is so shady. Like, she literally said that BB cannot survive without Maxine anymore. Reality TV gold. She also name drops Kat and says that maybe because Kat doesn't have really much experience in ballroom, she might also fuck shit up. Because Kat is a pageant girl, and it's very different ballroom versus pageantry. But there is ways in which it can meet. Ina says she's very excited to see the girls who have not yet walked the ball. Because out of everyone, I think I had the most experience with ballroom culture and its development over the years in Cape Town. So we conclude that we are happy with the space and we kind of have an idea as to what it is that we are going to be doing for the ball. I think the scene with Madison was a very lovely scene to film, actually. This was when I learned that Madison's actually really funny. She's really, she was really trying to start some kind of shade fest with me, but I was giving a nooch girl. I was being Miss Neutral as per usual, but I really enjoyed filming the scene with Madison. And once again, it's just so nice to watch how Madison and my relationship has grown throughout the show, because that is in essence the birth of the friendship that I have today with Madison. So yeah, let's continue. We move on to my place, getting ready for my show at Beefcakes, and honestly, I'm getting hot. Let me take this shit off. So we are at my little flat, which is exactly where I am right now. I'm still here. I've been here for about 2 years. And I love my little space. It's like so me. And we finally get to meet my baby, Kingsley. Kingsley is my little baby. I've actually got Kingsley for about 2 years now almost. And he's a Virgo. So you know that he takes me for hashtag for the puss. But yeah, he's the sweetest cat in the world. He somehow always manages to find peace amongst the chaos that is my life. And literally is a personality on his own, and everyone who comes here has kind of learned that he's the sweetest, and I'm glad that he got his moment. Like, look how beautiful my cat is, guys. Like, he is gorgeous. We have a conversation with me and my mother over the phone regarding finances, because at this point I had just freshly quit my job. My job came from months of abuse from my manager, who was just a fucking pain in the neck. Like, I can't stand that bitch. Like, I still can't stand that bitch. You know what I mean? And I don't harbor hate in my heart for anyone, but that bitch can suck a dick. I'm not gonna go into all of that, but her post, she doesn't need any more airtime. But I made the decision for my own mental health to step outside of that, because I was not about to play corporate mind games. This was about 2 months after that decision was made. So I was starting to feel the effects of not necessarily having a salary there anymore, because I could no longer pay my phone bill. And that's why I asked my mom, did they not cut her off yet? Because I was paying my mom's daughter some as well. As I said, my lifestyle didn't change much after that. Listen, I don't live a bougie lifestyle. If you open my fridge now, bitch, there's just gonna be jam and maybe eggs in there. And I still live a very struggle-based life, but I know how to treat myself. It's taken me many years to consider myself, girl. So now that I have that ability to do that, I take it with both arms all the time. My friend Rosie, who I worked with at Urban Decay, taught me something. We went to H&M one day, and there was a shoe that I really loved, and I wanted it so bad, and I said I can't buy it because it's like 450 rand, and I'm a breadwinner at home. I need to. She's like, no, you work very hard for your money, and you should spoil yourself. You can't be so selfish towards yourself. So I've always had that mindset that no matter what my financial situation is, if I want to treat myself with a dinner at a restaurant, I will do that if I'm by means to do so. And even in the scene where I pulled out my Seattle coffee. Listen, Seattle coffee, can we just have a segment on this? Just quick pass. Seattle coffee is the best coffee in the city. Down. Listen, get me the mocha free. All their freeze options are sickening. The mocha freeze. You've not had a butterscotch latte from Seattle? Thank me later. I also expand a little bit in the scene on my story from episode 1, where I speak about my life being destroyed by drugs, and I describe it as my life went from riches to rags, which is sort of true, because I did not grow up like poor, you know what I mean? But my parents worked very hard to make sure that my sister and myself have everything we need. My sister and I each had our own room. We had our own TVs in our rooms, and I had my computer. My mom bought me games for the computer. Like, at some point, I was one of the only 3 people in Cape Town who had a Nintendo GameCube. You know what I mean? I grew up pretty privileged, and even though my parents didn't really spoil us, we had everything we needed. There was never something that we complained about. You know what I mean? I lived a good life until my dad's addiction intensified, and over 3 years, all of that was gone. The cars, the house, the pets, the furniture. Hell, I have like 10 photos of myself from my childhood, like baby photos, because that's all that survived. Drug abuse is such a specific and complex type of thing to talk about, because everyone's experience of it is different, but we all have this. The one thing that drugs affect overall is a family dynamic, and that is exactly what happened to me. There are very few things that we still have from our time in Mitchell's Plain. I know that my mom has still a bunch of cutlery from that time, and I think she still has, the coffee sugar tea set. I think one of the most valuable, let me just show you. This is just to show you how sentimental I am as well. This fruit bowl, which has onions in at the moment, is also one of the oldest things that came from my family. So this is basically an heirloom at this point. This was a gift for my mom and my dad's wedding, and it came with cups and stuff, but over the years those cups broke. But we still have the fruit bowl, and this fruit bowl is older than what I am. So yes, there is a lot that we have lost along the way, but I think over the years we've also learned the value of our family now versus then. Like, we didn't really appreciate one another the way that we do now, and how important it is that we are still in each other's lives. In essence, we went from everything to absolutely nothing, and a lot of our life is rebuilt, through years and years and years of pushing and persevering. And that's the kind of attitude that was instilled in me from a very young age, because I just started high school once things started breaking down. So ever since then, I've learned to be an adult on my own in many ways. I say in the scene that we learned how to make do with very little and the bare minimum, even so that if you give me 100 rand, I could probably make it stretch all year, which is obviously not true. But you truly do learn how little you need to survive when you have absolutely nothing. And as I'm able to really look after myself with the bare minimum amount of money, I've now been unemployed for a year actually, and I'm extremely grateful and proud of myself for making it this far on my own. I can't lie and say it was easy, because it wasn't. The past 2 months especially has been extremely difficult for me financially, but I have very good people in my life actually that are there to look out for me. I've made good connections with people along the way. It's nothing I seek pity for. It's more so used as a device to show you where I come from, you know? There's a lot more to the world for me than money, and I'm grateful, very, very grateful for what I've been through, because I truly would not be this person in front of you today had it not been for those things, as traumatizing as they were. But that's my cross to bear, you know? I didn't mean to ramble now for so long, but this whole scene for me shows you how resilient of a person I am, and I want to share that with the world, you know? It's not necessarily about your circumstances or how much money you have, and the same thing applies to my drag. Like, we can expand on all of that later. I'm just really, like, my brain is really going now, thinking of all of these things to explain, but we can have this conversation some other time. Let's continue with the show. This conversation that I have with my mother is basically me inviting my mommy to come and watch my Beefcakes show. They don't always have the opportunity to come and see me at my shows. My parents are both pensioners, and my sister has like 5 kids, so they're living their own life on that side of the world. That's sometimes not very easy for them, and we help each other out, you know? Sometimes my mom also gives me money if I need, and vice versa. So we'll have to make sure that we count our money at least twice before we start spending. And this day specifically, I made the sacrifice, financial sacrifice, so to speak, to get my mom and my sister to come and watch my show, because I felt like it was important, especially for my sister. She's not seen me perform since 2018 at that point, so she's never seen my show. So my sister is 5 years my senior, and we were really tight growing up actually. She always trusted me a lot when growing up. She used to find out so much cock, and I knew every single thing. Like, I knew she was pregnant like months before my parents found out. Like, that's the kind of relationship we had with one another. It technically actually put me in drag for the first time. There was this one day, my sister loved makeup. She always used to wear this blue eyeshadow, silver. That was her favorite, her go-to. She was beautiful. And she once put me in makeup and stuff, and I remember I had like this lip liner with a mole and everything, and my dad caught me and I just took her away, and what a terrible time. I just started crying. But like, it was the kind of relationship I had with my sister. We used to watch movies a lot together, like Paps and Spice World. We just had a really great relationship with one another, and grateful to still have a relationship with her and to have her support, because I can tell that she, more so than my mom and my dad, they're really proud of me, like, for how far we've come. But my sister's also chaotic as fuck. My whole family is, you know what I mean? We all are loud and we all love talking. So can you imagine on a normal day how we sound? As a matter of fact, I think I have a clip. Just insert this clip quickly.
No, as I was close down, so I think man, I was a big for the
So Mikey and you and everything.
It was
Shit, we need to get in the fucking TV show, you bitch, somehow.
Exactly. That's how we sound together. So the Kusal family, always, I will never ever be ashamed of my family or where I come from, and I'm glad to see this moment. This is a nice moment for me, you know? But I'm gonna continue now because this is 16 minutes long already. Let me continue. I just rambled for 16 minutes, what the fuck. I went over to Beefcakes for my show, and honestly I was very nervous to have all the girls there because we don't often go to each other's shows. You know, at this point, I think Manila and Maxine were probably the only 2 that has seen my show before. So everyone else has never seen me do a show, you know? So it was extremely nerve-wracking to have queens there because you know how the girls are. We roast and toast. But I was pleasantly surprised to see all of them actually respond so positively towards the show and actually have a good time. Like Madison said that of all things she expects to see at an inappropriate show, it's gonna be her ass, and you got that. Maxine calling me a great technical performer and in terms of how I structure shows, because while I'm changing or something, there's something on screen, and then I come back. You know, I love doing this shit. Manila says that it's too much and nothing at the same time. So the girls really enjoyed the show, and I'm so grateful to see such a positive response, because remember, I've never seen this until last week when I watched it. Overall, the scene was really, really fun and summarizes my show very nicely. As a matter of fact, it's a billboard for my show, but now I can't do the show forever anymore because it's all on display now. But it was a fun time, and also shout out to my best friend Ivan. The editors are fucking shit up really bad with the show, honestly. It's not my best friend, Aisha, as mentioned. It's actually this girl over here, okay? I don't know why the editors chose to show Ivan. It's so hilarious to me. And this is just like another quirk of the show that I think is going to be something we laugh at for years. I'm really proud of the show, and just how much the show has grown over the past 2 years is wild to me. Yes, I have been doing the show for 2 years, but it's still a very good show. People really walk away from my show. Even last week I had a show and people were like, wow. So I know that it's a good show because I've had time to refine it. And basically it's a story of Inna and Wade. I introduce you to how I got started with drag, and I tell you a little bit about my personal life, and all the music and things like that kind of intertwines with the story. So it's important songs throughout my life, and it's such a vulnerable show. And if you really do want to come and watch the show at Beefcakes, please come and support. These are my dates for August, so if you do want to book, please be sure to book. We do rosters monthly, so my dates next month will change. So if you do want to keep up with when the other shows are, please follow me on Instagram. I usually post my calendar over there, or I should make a habit of posting my calendar over there. But please come and support the show. We'll be retiring the show in a matter of like a few months, depending on a few factors. Let me not go there. If you really want to come and cannot necessarily afford to, just pop me a message on Instagram and we can figure something out. But I would love for you guys to come and experience the inappropriate experience, you know? But I do have a special announcement coming very soon regarding a different show, but stay tuned. The girls enjoyed me at the bar for some celebratory shots, and Kat says that she feels Madison no longer necessarily has that wall up between her, but a little gate, you know? And she's just waiting for Madison to jump over that gate. But in essence, Madison has been warming up a little bit more to the girls. I didn't tell the girls about the ball that Madison and I have arranged, because it's just like a mini ball and we really want to rather celebrate and not. And time was also a very limited factor at the time, so we only decided on 2 categories, namely the Pop Divas runway, and then also face in an evening gown. So traditionally, runway and face is the categories in ballroom, but you can add themes and things around it to kind of like adapt it to what you want specifically to be presented. It's like adding a theme to a party, very that. The girls are immediately excited, and you can tell just how competitive the girls are. The girls are really like trying to suss out the competition. Imogen says that she's wants to win Madison, and Madison says bring it on, and Baby even says that, sorry mother, I'm gonna be taking this. So you can see just how healthy competition can inspire queens. Like across the board that day, everyone was just happy that they now have an opportunity to showcase what it is that they do. And honestly, the girls really were excited about everything. Another says that the energy was very good, and it was nice to see all the girls kiki and cut up and have a moment together in which we are not fighting with one another. And to her, it seems possible that we could walk out of all of this as friends. So we move on to the final scene of the episode at the District 6 Museum, where Madison arrives and naturally the dolls arrive late. I am going to preface by saying that the scene, to me, was so cringe and so funny. It explained a little bit about KEWPIE and the importance of the KEWPIE project, so I want to handle it with the seriousness it deserves. And my commentary is, albeit a little bit my own opinions, it is still based off what I saw on the show. And what I saw on the show was that Imogen and Maxine had absolutely no idea what the fuck they were doing. At least say the person's name correctly. And It's not me attacking them personally, I don't feel so, but I truly feel like I know what the show intended to do with putting this as a segment into the show, but I just don't feel like they executed it properly. I really want to use this opportunity not to mock them for their lack of understanding, but more so to educate you guys about what it is that the District 6 Museum does and why it is important, because I do feel that that is the point of this entire interaction. Those of you who don't know what District 6 is, it was an area today that we now call Zonnebloem, and fun fact, 0 to 1 is actually located in the old District 6 area. An excerpt from the website on the District 6 Museum says that it was a vibrant community of freed slaves, merchants, artisans, laborers and immigrants with close links to the city and the port. I think what District 6 is mainly known for is the Group Areas Act, because in February of 1966, the area was declared a whites-only area under the Group Area Act of 1950, and by I don't know all this stuff out of my head. By 1982, the life of the community was over, and more than 60,000 people were forcibly removed to barren outlying areas aptly known as the Cape Flats, areas like Mitchell's Plain, Hanover Park, Grassy Park, Lavender Hill. All these areas that many of the cast members actually come from is as a result of the displacement of people from District 6. The entire area of District 6 was flattened by bulldozers. Can you imagine 60,000 majority colored people were displaced from their homes because of apartheid? This is not that long ago. I had the privilege of living with someone actually who came from the District 6 area back in university. I lived in off-campus accommodation in Lansdowne. My landlady actually, she was from District 6, and we would just spend hours over coffee and tea and dalkos, which is the first time I ever had dalkos, but she made dalkos for me, and we would just sit and talk about the life she had at District 6. And the way she always described it was a community of people who just was always looking out for one another. They never locked each other's doors. You know, everyone's children it was a community, and it was all disrupted because of the Group Areas Act. You know, I'm literally getting goosebumps. I'm getting fucking goosebumps thinking of it. Like, I'm such a huge nerd for history, specifically Cape Town history, because what a beautiful fucking city we live in. Like, I can't stop speaking about how much I love the city. I just will never stop about how much I love living in the city. And my gosh, every time I get to see the mountain, I like roll, because there's just something spiritually that just holds me here in the city that I don't think I will ever really leave. If I die one day, when I die one day, please scatter my ashes on Table Mountain. I want to live there forever, for the rest of my life. So everyone who's watching this, I want to be scattered on Table Mountain when I die, period. I've gone ahead and once again added a whole bunch of resources below for you guys to go check out. I've linked the District 6 Museum website so that you can go and read up about the history of District 6. And also, if you can, pay a visit to the museum when you can. There's still some amazing artifacts like street name tags, and I want to go again. So if you want to organize a group outing, let me know below. Let's go to the District 6 Museum. Like, I would love to do that, because I think it's important for us to know our history in the city. Anyway, before I ramble more, the girls are out at the KEWPIE exhibition, and the girls are trying to educate Madison about the history of the queer queens that came before, and also queer Cape Town in general. But if I'm going to be honest, I just don't think they really do a good job of it. It felt to me that they just took Madison there and was like, here's a few photos. And yeah, this is where we come from. You know what I mean? No hate to the girls, but I can tell you guys did not do your research when visiting this museum. I understand what you're trying to do, but I feel as somebody who's part of this legacy project, I can't speak on this topic without feeling like I'm now going to be gunned for. I think the intent is beautiful, so I want to focus on that. I'm going to fast forward through parts of the content, you know what I mean? You can tell that Madison is very appreciative of being there and recognizes the symbolism of what drag was and how it's changed and how over the years it's changing. You can tell that Madison understands the intent of what Maxine and Imogen meant to do with this visit. Then here Maxine and Imogen talk about possibly reaching out to the older queens and maybe putting them in drag, which I've heard is something that they do, but I'm not 100% sure. I really don't know. If that is something that they do, I would love to see it, because we could possibly get stories from these people directly themselves using their own mouths. So I'm super excited to see if that's something that they actually really did. Can we just shout out to Madison, who's just standing there so awkwardly? Just the way the scene played out was very funny for me. But Madison feels inspired after this meeting, and they actually have a moment where they go and sit down and they actually talk about why they actually came there. Imogen seems to be wanting to figure out genuinely where Madison is coming from and wants to kind of make amends for how she may have made Madison feel excluded in the past. Madison and Imogen share a sweet moment where Imogen apologizes and Madison accepts the apology, but says it did hurt because Madison specifically really liked Imogen. And we also build a little bit on Imogen's character here, where she opens up about feeling lost with drag, and she says she had a breakdown a couple of days before that because she felt like drag just wasn't getting her to where she needed to be. And I'm not sure how much of this is drag related, but it could be personal as well. But Madison immediately relates to these feelings, and it's a really beautiful conversation between the two of them, showing how lonely drag can be sometimes. I mean, we all have been there. Like, I've quit drag so many times I lost count, because sometimes it's very difficult to navigate drag in a city that is so rich in expression and queer expression and drag, and you know, it's sometimes very difficult. So to sit there and argue amongst one another about petty shit is not necessarily helping alleviate those anxieties that we feel about drag, especially when we are new to it, like Madison. Imogen also says something that I totally disagree with, in which she says that people preach about drag is winning, and her opinion is that drag is only winning for two people. Now we know that she's talking of people like Manila, and I don't know who the second person is, but I have this to say in response. I don't believe this is true, and I'm really saddened that Imogen is in this mindset and I wasn't even aware of it, you know? I think oftentimes we have struggles and our issues like as spectacles, you know? We view the world through our issues, and we are often stuck in our own pain and hurt and disappointment, that all we can do is pass blame onto someone else, you know? They are a little bit more blessed, they are a little bit more privileged, they have a little bit more, you know, it's very easy to do that when you are in a space of pain and hurt. I've done it as well. I've also felt like this before about certain people getting ahead of the curve quicker than what I have, but everything happens in time. And I personally don't think Imogen will have the same opinion today that she had back then. I've learned that even just us seven, you know, 7 talented queens of Cape Town who are pioneering things for the next generation of drag queens. So Imogen, drag is winning, you know? If drag wins for one person, it wins for all of us, you know? We don't have the opportunities often to just step into spaces, but if one person gets that opportunity, it opens the door for literally everyone else. And it just breaks my heart that she felt this way and didn't share it. And I really wanted to hear this, Imogen. Drag is winning for you just as well as it is for all of us. And I am really sorry that you felt this way, and I can relate. I just want you to understand how difficult this show was for many of us to make and to be vulnerable about things. I don't think Imogen made anything personally against anyone. I just feel like that was the space that she was in at the time, and I'm sure she feels differently now. So yeah, I'm just happy that we get these types of, we don't often speak to one another, so it's nice to see this vulnerable points from one another. So I think although what she says may not be true, it's important to understand that this was her mindset at the time, and I'm happy that she has grown from it, because I'm certain she has, you know? But yeah, I rambled again. Let's go on. Maxine then opens up and says if Madison does need help with anything, she's always there to assist. But Madison also points out that besides everything going on in the group, she doesn't really ask for help because it often feels like she's indebted to whoever she reaches out to. And I know Madison comes from a a drag family before. Not gonna put that on blast, but I feel like that's kind of where Madison was sitting. And Maxine says that she feels very sad that she cannot think of anyone going through drag alone, and that's always why she feels the need to help out people and to assist people. Madison struggling to reach out for help is a genuine fear. I don't often reach out for help. I don't often know how to do it. So I understand entirely what this conversation is about, and I would have loved to have seen like a longer cut of this conversation, because I feel like the chopping of pieces of the conversation kind of muddies it a little bit. But I feel like there is just this narrative of support and how we really want to be there for one another. But there are obviously other factors that play a part of all of that. Maxine is a very helpful person when it comes to drag, and she will help you with whatever you need, whether it's a wig, a costume, a lash, nail glue, whatever the case may be. Maxine is that person at gigs. Madison just feels like she doesn't trust Maxine. She doesn't want to accept help from Maxine necessarily and become a product of Maxine. You know what I mean? Because Maxine has a shit ton of daughters, and for lack of better terms, most of them look like her. You know what I mean? So I get where Madison's coming from. I think there's this little short student film that Maxine and myself did last year or the year before, I don't remember, but I've linked it below. It's called Beyond the Ball. And you can see in there, because I know Maxine does touch on the topic of sisterhood. So if you want to check that out, it is in the description below. Just so you can get some more context as to what the type of conversation is actually, what type of conversation is actually going on here, you know? Madison then expresses she needs to maybe be a little bit more open, to not necessarily let other people's opinions or the voices in her head, as Maxine said, make her feel like she shouldn't be able to ask for help, you know? Maxine and Imogen feel confident that their visit with Madison has kind of planted a seed of we are here for you, but Madison still feels like she doesn't trust it and that the exchange was not genuine. But she is interested in seeing if they can build a relationship that's going to move the relationship forward, or if we are going to go back again and hate one another. So I'm very eager to see. I feel like this was a very heavy episode, especially for the cast, because we really felt, I can only speak for myself, I really felt everything that was going on. So yeah, that concludes the episode. And listen, what a crazy episode. I really want to say this was wild. Things are getting more and more real for everyone right now, you know? There are things that are unsaid and tensions in the air, so navigating this without having peace of mind on certain topics is especially difficult. Reality is, I am allowed to disagree at the end of the day, and this episode was one of those that I just could not watch neutrally. So if any of the girls who are watching this feel that I may have overstepped a certain boundary, you have my number. You are fully 100% allowed to contact me, and we can have a conversation about anything I've discussed that may have displeased you in this episode. But hey, freedom of speech, baby. Freedom of speech. Let's get into this week's top 3 shoutouts of the week. And firstly, we're going with Marvin Major. Marvin, you know I love you so much. I see your weekly comments and your love, and I appreciate it so much. So hopefully I see you at one of the Mingles events, maybe tomorrow. We also have a comment from Love Where the Light Is, who says, no thank you Madison, no questions. Which I thought was so cute, because I don't know if you noticed, at one point in the show the editors did put the name tag at the bottom as Madison for me. Again, this show is so stupid, I love it. And lastly, we have a comment from YouTube, actually, from Gelato Basquiat, who says they never knew glitter boys and ganglands even existed. Thank you for this comment, Gelato. This is exactly what my intention was when I started doing the series. So it means a lot that you went out and went to go and research and do a little bit of research. I would love to hear how you found the documentary, because yeah, what a different time that was, no? I appreciate everyone who's taking something away from this show and this little KEWPIE session on YouTube. So please keep the comments coming and keep the likes and shares going. I truly appreciate the engagement. And yeah, thanks to all the other comments. I especially love the ones that were talking positively about my show. I truly love and appreciate you. So please, if you can, come and watch my shows. I really love and appreciate all of you. Thank you so much for engaging with the content. So we have some questions as well, and the first question is from Monique Monique Williams. How do you have a name like Monique and your surname's Williams? Anyway, she asked how the other girls feel about my relationship with Maddie after all the drama. And to be honest, I actually don't know how the girls feel because my relationship with Madison is not based off the drama with the girls, to be honest. Madison and I have a very unique friendship that came from the show, so we don't really spend much time discussing things like that. But I can use this opportunity to just give you a quick plug. So tomorrow myself and Madison will be at Mingles to come and watch the live stream, or basically come watch the episode with everyone at Mingles. Straight afterwards we will also be having a show at 0 to 1 to stand in for Kat, who cannot make her Thursday gig because she's at AmpFab this weekend. So if you want to get AmpFab tickets, go and check that out as well. Madison and myself will be out tomorrow with the girls, so if you guys want to come through, you can come and kiki with us and you can see the type of relationship Madison and I have. Madison's actually coming over tonight to come sleep over by me, so we're watching the episode tomorrow together. So yeah, we just built a good friendship off the show and not any type of drama. That's not the basis of our friendship, so I don't really give a fuck what they think. We have another question by Robsy Bugs who asked to elaborate on the importance of ballroom, since the next episode is a ball. And I'm going to keep this question in the vault so long for next week, because next week we will be tackling ballroom as a topic. And I might have a special guest come over and, you know, educate the girls. But thank you guys once again for watching, and if you happen to be in town tomorrow, please don't forget to come and see myself and Madison at Mingles as well as 0 to 1. Come and join, come give the girls a clocky, you know, come and just vibe with us, you know. Alright guys, that's enough from me for one day. Please be sure to check out my social media so that you guys can just follow up on what I'm doing with my life. Also listed all the other cast members once again on the screen as well as in the description, so please go and give them a follow and see what they are up to. Please check out all the resources that I have listed down below. This episode is jam-packed with some resources, so please do yourself a favor and educate yourself and just learn about how beautiful queer history is. Can we please also subscribe to the channel? Please. But this has been a great one. Don't forget to like, share, comment, all of those things that you do here on YouTube. I truly appreciate it. Engage with the content. We need engagement. Please, okay? Once again, new episodes of Beaulah out every single Thursday, only on SHOWMAX. So, Max KEWPIE. Bye.